Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. Alien warships rush to human repair yards. No one else can fix them. Captain Tessa stood at the observation deck, staring out into the endless black void of space. It was a quiet day, just like any other on the human repair station Endeavour. The station floated in the vast emptiness, far from any major galactic hub, a place most ships only visited when they had no other choice. The station was known for its ability to repair almost any kind of spacecraft, thanks to the ingenuity of human engineers. Yet Tessa had never thought that something unusual would happen today. Suddenly, the calmness of space was broken. A strange signal crackled through the station's communication system. It was a distress call, a signal from a fleet of ships approaching fast, but it wasn't like any distress call they'd received before. The transmission was filled with static, and the alien language was unlike anything the human engineers had studied. It was clear, however, that the ships were in trouble. "Captain, you need to see this," Lieutenant Derek said, stepping up beside her. He looked worried, his face pale under the dim lights of the control room. "There's something strange about these ships." Tessa felt a chill run down her spine. She could tell from his tone that something wasn't right. The signal continued to buzz through the speakers, and as it did, the image of several ships appeared on the monitor. The fleet wasn't just one or two ships, it was a massive armada. But the ships looked damaged, very damaged. Their outer hulls were scarred, some of them smoking from holes in their plating. It looked like they had been through a brutal battle. Despite their advanced design, the alien vessels appeared as if they might fall apart any second. "Are they hostile?" Tessa asked, turning to Derek. "No, ma'am," he replied quickly, his eyes glued to the screen. "It doesn't look like they've come to attack. They're requesting repairs. They're asking for help. From us." Tessa whispered under her breath. The station had only recently become known for its repairs, but it wasn't a military base. They only fixed civilian ships and sometimes cargo vessels in distress. The idea of an entire alien fleet coming to them seemed unbelievable. "Captain," Derek continued, his voice shaky, "the signal is coming from an unknown fleet. They've never been identified before, and we've never seen ships like these in our sector." Tessa's mind raced. An alien fleet clearly in distress arriving at their station. This was no ordinary day. She had trained for this, prepared for emergencies, but nothing could have prepared her for what was about to happen. She had heard rumors, whispers in the galactic corners about alien races that had once ruled the stars. Some were said to be peaceful, others far more dangerous. But now they were here, and they needed something humans could offer. The fleet wasn't just heading for the station, they were heading straight for them. Tessa's heart skipped a beat. These ships were coming at incredible speed, making a direct course for the Endeavour. As they grew closer, the size of the fleet became apparent. It wasn't just a few ships, they were massive, each one larger than any human-made spacecraft she had ever seen. The sleek designs, sharp edges, and glowing lights on their hulls gave off an air of otherworldly sophistication. These weren't ships from any empire humanity had ever known. They were something entirely new. A deep, unsettling silence filled the room. The rest of the crew gathered around the monitors, unsure of what to make of the situation. Tessa's thoughts raced, trying to process everything. Why would such an advanced fleet, with technology far beyond anything humanity had, need their help? There was no simple answer, but one thing was clear. The station would have to act fast. "All crew members to their stations," Tessa ordered, trying to steady her nerves. "Prepare the repair bays for incoming ships. We don't know what we're dealing with yet, but we have to be ready." Her voice was firm, but the uncertainty in her chest was growing. As the alien fleet drew closer, their presence was overwhelming. The lights of their ships flickered in the distance, and for a moment, it felt like the stars themselves were fading in comparison to the brilliance of their vessels. Tessa couldn't help but wonder what kind of power these aliens held. The station crew moved quickly. Repair drones were deployed, ready to assist with whatever repairs the fleet might need. Tessa knew that her team was capable, but this was different. This was an alien fleet desperate for help, and they were depending on humans to fix them. "Captain," Derek said again, his voice tense, "the lead ship is hailing us." "Put it through," Tessa replied, her hands gripping the sides of the console. A figure appeared on the screen. It was an alien, but unlike any Tessa had ever seen before. The creature's skin was smooth and metallic, with glowing patterns that seemed to pulse with energy. Its eyes were large, black, and without pupils, staring at the camera with an intensity that was almost unsettling. The alien spoke in a low, gravelly voice, its language alien, but Tessa could understand it clearly through the translator. "We are the Thyan fleet," the alien said, "and we need your help. Our ships are damaged beyond repair, and only your species possesses the knowledge to save us." Tessa's heart raced. "We're the ones who can fix them." She could hardly believe it, but the alien's words left no room for doubt. Whatever was happening here, humanity was at the center of it. They had become the galaxy's only hope. "Prepare your station," the alien continued, "or we will perish." The line went silent. Tessa stood frozen for a moment, trying to comprehend what had just happened. The alien fleet, with all its advanced technology, was asking for help from humanity. This was a moment she would never forget. It was a test, a challenge, and perhaps the greatest opportunity humanity had ever faced. But it was also the beginning of something much larger. The real question was, why had these alien fleets come to them? And what had caused their ships to break down so badly? The answers were waiting, but Tessa knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. The Endeavor's repair bays hummed with activity as the first of the alien ships docked. The crew worked feverishly to prepare everything, unsure of what exactly needed repair but ready for anything. The alien fleet had arrived, and now they were here, within arm's reach. It was unlike anything Captain Tessa had ever experienced. As the alien ship settled into the docking bay, their glowing surfaces reflected off the polished walls of the human station. The first alien ship was a sight to behold, massive, sleek, and clearly of a design that was far ahead of anything humanity could even imagine. Yet, as the crew approached, a closer look revealed something troubling. The ship was torn apart, its hull cracked open in several places, revealing inner machinery that had been heavily damaged. The once glowing engines sputtered with weakness, their energy signatures fading. Tessa walked alongside the lead engineer, a quiet but sharp woman named Janice, as they observed the repairs. They were examining the ship's systems, trying to understand what could have caused such significant damage to a vessel of this advanced nature. "This isn't right, Captain," Janice muttered, inspecting the ship's interior. "These ships are built like tanks, but it's as if someone's gone at them with the intent to destroy, not just disable. Whoever did this, they knew exactly what they were doing." Tessa frowned. "What do you mean, knew exactly what they were doing?" Janice glanced at her. "I've worked on alien ships before, Captain. These systems, they're so advanced. But this damage, it looks like someone intentionally targeted their weak spots, specifically their engines and power cores. This wasn't a random attack. Whoever did this wanted these ships to be crippled." Tessa's mind raced. The idea that someone could cripple an entire fleet of such advanced aliens made her uneasy. These were the Thyans, a race that, according to legend, were nearly invincible, advanced far beyond anything humanity could comprehend. Why would anyone want to destroy them, or even cripple them so severely? And why had the Thyan fleet come to them for help? "Janice," Tessa said, her voice low and serious, "do we know who did this to them?" Janice shook her head. "Not yet. We're still looking at the damage, but based on what I've seen so far, it's not just about repairing these ships. We might need to dig deeper. Something doesn't add up." Tessa nodded. The repair work was crucial, but now there was something else she needed to consider. The mystery of the attack on the Thyans. It didn't make sense. No one knew why they had come to humanity for help, and no one knew who their enemies were. But Tessa had a sinking feeling in her stomach that something bigger was at play, something that would shake the very foundation of what they knew. The fleet leader, the alien with metallic skin and glowing eyes, had been watching from the observation deck as Tessa and Janice continued their repairs. The alien approached them. "You've made progress," the alien said in a voice that was both deep and reverberating, "but we still need more help. The damage goes deeper than just the outer hulls. Our power systems are unstable and our engines are failing. If you do not complete the repairs soon, we will be trapped here, vulnerable to further attacks." Tessa looked at the alien carefully. It seemed like the fleet leader was hiding something. There was a hint of urgency in their voice, but it didn't seem to be just about the repairs. The more Tessa observed, the more she noticed the subtle tension in the alien's posture, the way their eyes darted around, as if they were afraid of something or someone. "Can you tell me more about the enemy?" Tessa asked, her voice steady despite the rising anxiety she felt. "Who did this to your fleet?" The alien's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, there was a strange silence between them. It was almost as if the question had made them uncomfortable. Then, in a voice that was barely above a whisper, the alien spoke. We, we cannot speak of them, not yet. There are others who know the truth, but we are not ready to reveal everything. Tessa felt a shiver run down her spine. The Thians, the seemingly invincible race, were afraid of something or someone. Whoever or whatever had attacked them was clearly a formidable force. The alien leader was hiding something, and Tessa knew she needed to uncover the truth. We've seen the damage to your fleet, Tessa said, her tone firm. If there's something you're not telling us, we need to know. We can't fix this unless we understand what we're dealing with. For a moment, the alien looked down, its eyes glowing softly in the dim light of the station. It seemed to be struggling with something inside, as if it knew that revealing the truth could risk everything. We have no choice but to trust you, the alien finally said, its voice filled with reluctant sincerity. You must understand, the enemy we face is not like any other. They have technology beyond even our own. We have been at war for centuries, and we have always managed to survive. But now we are losing. Tessa's heart skipped a beat. Who are these enemies? The alien didn't answer immediately, and Tessa realized they were still holding back information. But she wasn't going to let them off the hook so easily. If humanity was going to help them, they needed to know everything, because something about this entire situation felt wrong. The alien leader hesitated again before speaking in a whisper. They are the Valky, a race that believes in domination above all. They are relentless, cunning, and will stop at nothing to conquer what they consider their rightful territory. We are not the only ones they've attacked. The weight of those words hit Tessa like a hammer. The Valky, a race that lived for conquest, a race that could tear through the galaxy like a storm. And now they were closing in on the Thian, and possibly on humanity too. The mystery deepened. The repairs were just a small part of something far greater, and Tessa was about to be thrust into a galaxy-wide war that she could never have imagined. The Endeavor's corridors were buzzing with energy as repairs continued. Engineers worked day and night, scrambling to fix the alien ships. Yet, despite their expertise, Tessa couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of something bigger, something much more dangerous. As the Endeavor's crew worked tirelessly, Tessa's thoughts kept returning to the conversation with the Thian leader. The Valky were closing in, and the fleet's survival was hanging by a thread. In the command room, Tessa stood in front of a holographic display showing the damage reports from the alien fleet. Her fingers tapped the console as she scrolled through the information, searching for any clue that could help them understand more about the Valky's attack. The damage wasn't random. It wasn't just a military strike. It was more targeted, more methodical. Something, had designed this attack specifically for their power systems and engines and defensive mechanisms. We need to do more than just fix their ships, Tessa said, her voice sharp with determination. She turned to Janice, who was standing beside her, analyzing the data. We need to upgrade their technology, make it more resistant to this kind of attack. If the Valky come for them again, we won't be able to fix them fast enough. Janice nodded. I agree, Captain. The Thian technology is powerful, but there are vulnerabilities we can exploit to strengthen it. If we integrate some of our own human designs with their systems, we might be able to create something stronger. Tessa smiled. That's exactly what I was thinking. We need a plan, a way to make their ships not just repaired, but improved. I don't want to just send them back out there to be destroyed again. It was a bold idea, one that could backfire, but Tessa felt there was no other choice. The Valky were too dangerous, too ruthless. If the Thian were to survive, and if humanity was to have a place in the galaxy, they needed to be stronger. They needed to evolve, adapt, and build something no one had seen before. In the vast repair bay, the hum of machinery filled the air as teams of engineers from both species worked side by side. Humans and Thians, once strangers, now shared a common goal. As Tessa walked through the bay, she noticed how the two species interacted. The Thians were efficient, their movements precise, but there was a sense of weariness in their eyes. They were grateful for the repairs, but Tessa could tell that they weren't entirely comfortable trusting humanity with their technology. We need to ensure they understand the importance of this upgrade, Tessa said to Janice, who was reviewing the designs for the ship's engines. If we're going to merge our technologies, we need the Thians to work with us. No secrets, no lies. Otherwise, this plan won't work. I'm on it, Captain, Janice replied. I'll handle the integration of the human tech with their systems, but there's something I need to mention. Some of their components are strange, almost like they're holding back. I can't quite figure it out, but it's like they don't want us to see everything. Tessa's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Janice hesitated, clearly unsure whether to say more. Finally, she spoke. It's the power cores. The designs are unlike anything we've seen before. They're more advanced than our best tech, but there are parts that seem incomplete. It's as if they didn't want us to have the full picture. I'm not sure why, but there's something more hidden in those systems. I think if we can crack it, we'll be able to improve their ships even more. Tessa nodded, her gut telling her that this was important. Keep digging, Janice. We need to know everything if we're going to win this war. Meanwhile, the alien fleet's commander, still deeply shaken by the attack and their forced reliance on human technology, met with Tessa in private. The two of them stood before the large viewport in the station's command center, gazing out at the stars. The Thiam leader, whose name was Zaylor, finally spoke. Captain Tessa Zorin, you must understand that we are at a crossroads. The Valky have torn through our fleets, and we are the last of our kind. You've offered us help, but you must know that not all Thians believe in working with your kind. Many among us feel that your race is too young, too untested. Tessa looked at the alien, meeting its gaze. I understand your hesitation, Zaylor, but you have to trust us. The Valky aren't just a threat to you. They will come after everyone eventually, humans included. If we want to stop them, we have to work together. Zaylor paused, considering her words. Perhaps, but we still do not fully understand your species. We have fought many wars, faced many enemies, but this is unlike anything we have ever seen. If we are to defeat the Valky, we must combine our strengths, and that means trusting each other. Tessa nodded. I agree. The plan I'm proposing is risky, but it's our best chance. We'll integrate our technology with yours, enhance your power systems, and give you the edge you need to survive. Zaylor's eyes narrowed, and for a brief moment there was a flicker of something, doubt or fear perhaps, before he spoke again. If we do this, you must promise me one thing, Captain. Promise me that you will not betray us. If we let you in, if we trust you with this technology, you will not use it against us. Tessa met his gaze with unwavering confidence. You have my word, Zaylor. This isn't just about saving your fleet. It's about saving the galaxy. We're in this together now. The Thiam leader studied her for a long moment as if weighing her words. Finally, he nodded. Very well, Captain. We will work with you. But remember, the Valky are not to be underestimated. Even if we combine our strengths, the path ahead will not be easy. As Zaylor left, Tessa stood alone in the command center, staring at the holographic image of the fleet. She knew that the plan to merge their technologies was risky, but it was the only chance they had. The Valky were coming, and the alliance between humans and Thians was their best hope. But as Tessa looked out at the stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than anyone had revealed. The Endeavor hummed with quiet urgency as the engineers worked through the night. The integration of human technology into the Thian ships was progressing, but the pressure was mounting. Captain Tessa knew they didn't have much time. The Valky were closing in, and every moment they spent fixing the alien fleet brought them one step closer to survival or destruction. It was late in the cycle when the alarm suddenly blared across the station. Tessa's heart skipped a beat as the warning lights flashed in the command center. She quickly stood from her seat, eyes scanning the holographic displays. Report, she barked, her voice sharp as the crew scrambled to analyze the situation. Captain, we have incoming ships, Lieutenant Derek said, his voice tense. They're not from the Thian fleet. They're unidentified, but they're heavily armed. They're entering the system fast, too fast. Tessa's pulse quickened, her mind raced. Not again. Who else could be coming? Can you identify them? She asked, moving toward the control panel. Not yet, ma'am. They're jamming our sensors. It's like they don't want us to track them. Tessa's eyes narrowed as the images of the incoming ships appeared on the screen. They were large, aggressive-looking vessels, heavily armored and bristling with weapons. Their design was unfamiliar, like nothing the humans or the Thian had ever seen. The ships were slow-moving, but their presence alone was enough to send a wave of unease through the station. Prepare for battle stations, Tessa ordered. We don't know who they are, but we're not going to wait to find out. Activate the defensive shields and alert the Thians. As the crew scrambled to prepare for the worst, Tessa turned to Derek. I need you to track their movements. If they're coming for us, we need to know why, and fast. On the outside of the station, the mysterious ships loomed closer, their black holes blending into the darkness of space. The station sensors continued to struggle with their interference, but there was no mistaking the intent behind the ship's movements. They were preparing to make a strike. Meanwhile, on the station's upper level, Tessa walked briskly to the Thyan command room. She was met by Zeller, who stood at the large observation window, his glowing eyes focused on the incoming vessels. "They're not the Valky," Zeller said, his voice calm but filled with an underlying tension. "But they are no less dangerous." Tessa stepped up beside him, her gaze fixed on the ships. "Who are they then? What do they want?" Zaller's features tightened, a look of grim recognition on his face. "They are the Rukari, a ruthless mercenary faction. They've been hired by someone, and I fear they're here for the technology you've helped us integrate. They want the upgrades we're working on. They want what you've given us." Tessa's eyes widened. "The Rukari? Mercenaries?" "Yes, they've been hired to hunt down any advanced technology they can find, and I fear they've come for the very thing that might turn the tide of this war. The upgrades we're making to our ships. If they take it, the Valky will have the advantage." Tessa clenched her fists. She had thought the threat of the Valky was enough. Now they had to contend with mercenaries, and worse, someone was orchestrating this attack from behind the scenes. The question was, who and why? "We can't let them take our work," Tessa said, her voice filled with determination. "Prepare the ships for a fight. I want the Thyans to focus on defense. We'll hold them off until we can finish the repairs." Zeller nodded, his eyes glowing brighter in the dim light. "It will not be easy, but we will stand with you, Captain." Back in the control room, the tension in the air was palpable. The crew of the Endeavour worked in overdrive, preparing the station's defenses, while the Thean readied their ships for combat. The Rukari ships loomed ever closer, the dark silhouettes of their hull growing larger by the second. Tessa took her place at the command station, her mind focused on the immediate task at hand, protecting the station and keeping the repairs on track. As the Rukari ships drew closer, her finger hovered over the weapons console. "Captain," Derek called out, "we've intercepted a transmission from one of the Rukari ships. They're sending a message." "Put it through," Tessa said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. The screen flickered, and the face of a tall, humanoid figure appeared on the screen. Its features were sharp and angular, its dark skin almost blending in with the shadows of its ship. It wore the markings of the Rukari, a notorious mercenary faction known for their brutality and cunning. "Captain Tessa," the figure said, its voice cold and mechanical, "we've come for the technology you've been working on. Stand aside, and no harm will come to you. Resist, and you will regret it." Tessa stood tall, her voice unwavering. "We're not going anywhere. Whatever game you're playing, it ends here. You'll have to go through us." The mercenary's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "So be it." The screen cut out abruptly, and Tessa felt her heart race. She knew what was coming. The Rukari would stop at nothing to get what they wanted, and now they were prepared to fight. "Prepare for incoming fire," Tessa ordered, her mind racing as she looked at the enemy fleet. "We need to buy ourselves some time. All guns, open fire." Outside the station, the battle began. The first volley of energy blasts from the Rukari ships hit the Endeavour shields, shaking the entire station. The Thyan ships, newly upgraded, returned fire, their weapons glowing brightly as they targeted the incoming mercenaries. Tessa watched the battle unfold, knowing that every second counted. As the Rukari ships closed in, she turned to the engineers in the control room. "Status on the repairs?" she asked. Janice glanced up, her face pale. "We're close, Captain, but we need more time. These ships aren't fully stabilized yet. If we don't finish the upgrades, the Rukari could still overwhelm us." Tessa gritted her teeth. "Then we fight for more time. We don't let them get any closer." The Endeavour was under fire. Blasts from the Rukari ships continued to shake the station as its defenses held on by a thread. The once calm corridors of the station had turned into a flurry of activity. Crew members rushed to their posts, Thean and human engineers working side by side to finish repairs, while others fought to maintain the integrity of the station. Outside, the Thyan ships, with their new upgrades, exchanged fire with the mercenary fleet, a dazzling display of energy beams and explosions in the blackness of space. Captain Tessa stood at the command console, her gaze fixed on the battle unfolding outside the station's observation window. The Rukari were relentless, but the Thyans had a new edge thanks to the integration of human technology. Yet, even with their enhanced weapons and shields, it was clear that the Rukari were not backing down. Tessa knew they needed more than just weapons to win this fight. They needed a strategy.